The Realtor was a young woman with a leather folder, and she was standing in my kitchen when my son said it. "Dad signs whatever we put down now," Garrett told her. He said it the way you'd say a dog was house-trained. Not cruel, just settled, like a fact everybody had already agreed on a long time ago. I was 8 feet away, drying a coffee cup with the towel that hangs on the oven door, the same towel that's hung there since Marion was alive. They both looked at me for half a second, the way you glance at a chair to make sure it's still in the room, and then they went right back to the folder. I put the cup away. I did not say anything. There was nothing to say that wouldn't have come out wrong, and a man learns, eventually, that the wrong thing said out loud is worse than the right thing kept behind the teeth. My name is Vernon Pike. I am 71 years old. I built the house those two were standing in. Not paid a contractor to build it. Built it. I set the footers myself in the fall of 1978, poured the basement with a borrowed mixer and my brother-in-law cussing the whole weekend, and we moved in before the next Christmas with the trim still raw. I know every joint in that house the way you know your own hands. I know which stair creaks, and I know why. I cut that stair. The man who decided I would sign whatever was put in front of me had no idea what I was about to read 3 days later.
I worked 34 years at the paper mill outside Chillicothe, Ohio. Millwright. That meant when a machine the size of a school bus stopped turning at 2 in the morning, somebody called me and I went down and made it turn again. You learn patience in that kind of work. You also learn that the loud problem is almost never the real one. The real one is small and quiet and underneath, and it has usually been sitting there a good while before it ever shows itself on top. Marion taught 4th grade over at Mount Logan for 29 years. We had the one boy, Garrett. We had wanted more than one. It didn't happen for us. So Garrett got the whole of it. The hoping, the saving, the room in a house we'd built for a family we'd expected to be bigger than it turned out to be. He was a good kid. I want to say that plain because of what comes after. He was a good kid who grew up into a man who needed money more than he needed me to be a person. Marion passed 2 years ago this April, pancreatic. It was fast, which the doctor called a mercy, and I have never once managed to feel the mercy in it. After the funeral, Garrett and his wife Sloan said they would move in, to help. The house was too much for me alone, they said, and it sounded like a kindness the way they framed it up. So I let them. A man who has just buried his wife will agree to almost anything that sounds like it might fill a room.
The helping started reasonable enough. Sloan cooked, Garrett mowed. They had me to dinner at my own table and called it having me to dinner, and I let that go too. Then it got quieter, the way a machine goes quiet right before it seizes. They carried the good chair, Marion's chair, out to the garage to make space. They started picking up the phone before I could reach it. When the doctor's office called about my blood pressure refill, Sloan took the message and forgot to pass it on, and I went 2 full weeks without the pills before I caught it. Little things. I know how that sounds, an old man complaining that his family moved a chair. But I had spent a whole working life reading the small, quiet things underneath, and something in me had started, very quietly, reading again. There was an evening in November. I came down the hall and heard the two of them in the kitchen, talking low. Sloan was saying numbers. I only caught the tail of it. Once it's all in one account, it's just cleaner. Garrett said he won't even look. And Sloan laughed at that, soft, the way you laugh at a thing that has already been decided. I went back to my room and shut the door soft, the way you do when you don't want a soul to know you heard. Sleep didn't come for a long while. I lay there listening to the furnace I'd installed myself kick on and off, and I turned that one word over and over, cleaner, and thought about how a man only ever uses it about a thing he means to wash away.
I have to back up here, because there's a piece you'll need before the rest of it makes any sense. The winter before Marion died, I got pneumonia bad enough to put me in Adena Regional for 9 days, both lungs. There's a stretch in there I don't remember at all. Garrett was at the hospital a lot. I will give him that, he was there. And one afternoon he came in with a man in a sport coat and a few papers on a clipboard. Garrett said it was just so he could handle things while I was down. Pay the bills, talk to the insurance company, keep the lights on. sensible. I was 70 years old, with a tube in my arm and a fever that came back every single evening. And my wife was already sick herself, though we did not yet know how sick. I signed where the man pointed. I didn't read it. You want me to tell you that I read it, and I didn't. I trusted my son, and I was tired down to the bone, and the words swam around on the page. That is the truth of it, and I won't dress it up. The paper was a durable power of attorney. Durable means it does not end when you get better. It does not end when you walk back out of the hospital under your own steam and forget the whole afternoon ever happened to you. It just sits there, quiet, with your name on it, waiting. And I did forget I'd ever signed it. For a year and a half, I plain forgot it existed.
Now we are back to the week with the Realtor. 3 days after Garrett told that young woman I'd sign whatever they put down, I beat him to the mailbox. That was all it was in the end. Pure chance. He usually got the mail, had been getting it for months, I would understand later. But that Tuesday, he had driven Sloan to the airport, and I walked down the gravel myself in my barn coat because the box was full and nobody else was home to empty it. There was an envelope from the Ross County Treasurer, and there was one from Huntington Bank, the heavy kind, with the little cellophane window and your own name showing through it. I stood at the end of my own driveway and opened the bank one first. My breath was fogging up my reading glasses, and I had to keep stopping to wipe them on my coat. It was a statement for a home equity line of credit, secured by the property at 4400 Egypt Pike, my house. There was a balance owed on it of $81,000. I read it 3 times, the way you read a gauge that is showing you a number it has absolutely no business showing. I had never once in my life taken a loan against that house. I paid it off in the summer of 2004, and Marion baked an angel food cake the evening we burned the last of the paper in the barrel out back. Then I opened the county envelope. It was worse. It was quieter. And it was the real one, sitting underneath.
The county letter was a notice of delinquent property taxes, $11,000 and change owed, with a date by which it had to be paid, or the matter would move on to the county prosecutor's tax lien list. 2 years of taxes, the very same 2 years that Garrett had been handling things for me. I'm going to be honest about what that did to me, standing out there in the cold with my glasses fogged and the gravel cold through my boots. It wasn't rage. I keep waiting, every time I tell this, for people to want the rage out of me. There wasn't any. There was just a falling feeling, like the floor of an elevator dropping an inch, that half second where your stomach already knows the truth before your head has caught up to it. He hadn't paid the taxes. He had taken $81,000 against the house, and he had been sitting at my kitchen table with a realtor 3 days back, talking about me like I was already furniture. I put both envelopes inside my coat, against my chest. I walked back up the gravel slow. Garrett's truck still wasn't in the drive. I went into the room that used to be Marion's sewing room, where I keep all my paperwork in a green metal file box, and I sat down on the floor like a child who's been sent there, and I started pulling out every statement I could lay a hand on. I was a long time on that floor.
Here is what a man finds when he finally makes himself sit down and look. My retirement came through the mill, a pension that pays out monthly, and on top of that, a 401k I had rolled into an IRA the year I retired. The last time I'd checked it, and I will admit that was a good while back, the IRA had held $312,000. That was the number Marion and I had built together over decades for the years we still thought we had coming. It was meant to be the floor underneath everything else we might need. The most recent statement I could dig out of that box was 8 months old. It said the account balance was $9,400. $302,000 gone, out in pieces over months. Distributions, the statement called them, each and every one of them authorized by the account holder's representative. The representative, that clipboard, that afternoon at Aden I could not for the life of me remember. I sat there on the floor and did the arithmetic I did not want to do. The 81 against the house, the 302 out of the IRA, and the taxes left to rot on purpose, because paying them would have put a trail in the wrong place at exactly the wrong time, and the realtor in my kitchen, because the IRA was scraped near empty and the credit line was run near to the max, and the only thing left with my name on it that was still worth real money was the house I had built with my own 2 hands.
I did not confront him. I want to be clear about that, because it is the part people never quite believe. I had spent 34 years around men who lost their tempers at machines. I watched a fellow named Dewey put his fist clean through a control panel one night because a line kept jamming on him. And the line jammed again anyway, the very next shift. And Dewey went home with a broken hand and the exact same jam waiting on him come Monday morning. The machine does not care one bit that you are angry. The machine only cares what you do next. So I did the thing I knew how to do. I went quiet and I went underneath. I learned over the next few days where most of it had gone. Not all, I will never know all of it. But Sloan had opened up a place she called a wellness studio in a strip plaza out by the bypass, and there was new everything in it and a lit sign with her name spelled out in gold. And Garrett had a truck I'd watched appear in the driveway the spring before and had assumed, like an old fool, that the mill must just be paying better than it used to. You build a thing your whole life so the people you love won't ever have to start from nothing, and they take it anyway, not because they're starving. They take it because you have stopped somewhere along the line in their eyes, being a person who could be trusted to mind it. That was the wound, not the money. The money was only ever the proof of the wound.
There's a thing I kept circling back to, all those days I spent going quiet and going underneath. When Garrett was 8, I taught him to use a level. We were hanging a shelf in his room for his baseball trophies. He had 2 of them, both for participation, and he was proud of them like they'd come straight out of Cooperstown. I showed him the little bubble, and how you chase it into the middle, and how a thing can look dead straight to the naked eye and still be wrong, and the bubble is the only honest judge of it there is. After that, he leveled everything in the house, the toaster, the dog's water bowl. He brought the level to the supper table once to check whether the table itself was true. That same year, he made me a card, cut it out crooked from red construction paper, wrote Best Dad across the front, the letters running downhill toward the right because he hadn't yet learned how to hold a line straight. Marion kept it. It is in the green file box, as a matter of fact. I came across it that week, tucked between a warranty for a water heater and the deed I'd paid off in 2004. I sat there on the floor and held that card a good while. A man can hold the proof his son robbed him in one hand and the card that says Best Dad in the other, and both of them are true at the very same time. That is the part nobody warns you about. Nobody tells you the arithmetic doesn't cancel out. It just sits there, both hands full.
There's a lawyer in Chillicothe named Frances Okafor, elder law. Her office sits upstairs from a hearing aid place on Paint Street, and I knew the name because she had handled a probate matter for a man at church, and he had spoken well of her, which, from that particular man, was about as rare as snow in July. I called on a Thursday and told the woman who answered that I believed my son had stolen from me using a power of attorney. There was a small silence on the line. Then she said gently that this was a good deal more common than I would think, and could I come in Monday at 10 and bring along everything I had? I brought the green file box. Frances Okafor was maybe 50, with reading glasses pushed up into her hair, and a way of going through a stack of paper that put me in mind of how I used to go through a gearbox. No wasted motion to it, every part accounted for. She didn't say, "Oh, how awful," which I was grateful for, and she wrote everything down on a yellow legal pad. She asked me the exact date of the hospital admission, then wanted to know whether I'd ever been handed any kind of accounting. And twice, both times very gently, she asked me whether I felt safe in my own house. Then she set the pad down flat on the desk, and she told me 3 things. The first one of them changed the way I was breathing.
The first thing she told me was that the power of attorney did not make a single bit of it legal. A power of attorney is a duty, she said. The person who holds it, the agent, has got to act for the benefit of the person who gave it to him, not for his own self. Taking your money and spending it on his own life is not handling things. It has a name in the Ohio Revised Code, she said, and that name is theft, and there is a separate, heavier piece of the law for when it gets done to somebody over the age of 65. She said those last words slow, so that I would be sure to have them. The second thing was that I could revoke that power of attorney this very afternoon, quietly. He did not have to know the day that it happened. The moment a revocation got signed and delivered over to the bank, his name would simply stop working on my accounts, like a key that's been quietly changed out of a lock while a man sleeps. The last thing she said was the one I would sit with the longest. She said, "Mr. Pike, you do not have to decide today whether to send your son to prison. Getting your house safe and deciding what your son deserves, those are two entirely separate decisions. We will do the first one this week. The second one can wait just as long as you need it to." I had not known a man was allowed to take them apart like that. We started that same week.
What we actually did was not dramatic in the least. That's the thing nobody ever warns you about when it comes to justice. It is mostly errands. I signed a revocation of the power of attorney, got it notarized, and Francis sent it certified mail to Huntington and to the IRA custodian that very afternoon. I should mention, I had not set foot inside the Ross County offices in maybe 30 years, not since the day I pulled the permit to build the place. A young man at the recorder's counter printed me the full record of that home equity line for $4. $4. The proof had been sitting there, out in the public the whole time, where anybody on God's earth who thought to look could have walked in and found it. Garrett had been counting on nobody looking. He had been counting on me staying a chair. Frances pulled the complete account histories once we filed. She found the distributions, every last one of them landing just under the dollar amount that trips a bank's reporting, and she told me that was its own kind of evidence. A man being that careful, she said, is a man who already knows. I changed nothing at all at home through those days. I ate Sloane's dinners and said good morning to the both of them across the table. It was the hardest acting I have ever done in my life, and I kept it up for 9 straight days, because Frances had asked me to keep everything looking normal until the filings were in. 9 days is a long time to sit across a table from someone and know.
Garrett found out on a Wednesday. He had gone to draw on the equity line for something or other. I don't know what it was, and it doesn't matter now. And the bank told him the authorization on the account had been revoked. He came home with his face the color of raw dough and found me out in the garage, where I had moved Marion's chair back inside the week before, and he hadn't even noticed it was gone. "Dad," he said, "did you call the bank?" I told him I'd had a lawyer call the bank. He started in talking fast then. He'd been protecting me, he said. The market had been way down, so he'd moved a few things around just to keep them safe. Sloane's studio was an investment that was going to pay back every bit of it, with interest on top, and I really ought to come see the projections. I let him talk himself all the way out. When a line jams, you let it run all the way down before you ever reach a hand in. You don't reach into a machine that is still moving. When he was finally finished, I told him just one thing. I said, "Garrett, the taxes weren't paid." And I watched the protecting and the projections and the keeping safe all go right out of his face, because the unpaid taxes were the one single thing he could not dress back up. A man does not forget the taxes on a house he claims he was protecting. He lets them lapse on a house he means to be long gone from before the bill ever comes due. He didn't have a thing to say to that.
Sloane was harder than Garrett. Garrett, at the very bottom of it, was ashamed of himself. Sloane was only caught. She came at me that night with the warm voice, the one from those early dinners. She sat herself down across the table and set her hand near mine and said that we were family, and family did not go bringing in lawyers, and surely the two of us could keep all of this in the house. In the house, where she had said that word cleaner 8 months before about the whole of my life's money. I told her the lawyer was already in it, and the bank was already in it, and the county was already in it, and there was not any in the house left for us to keep things. I said it flat, no volume to it at all. I had learned a long, long time back that the men who shout are the ones who have already lost the argument and know it down deep. She told me I would regret this. She said an old man alone in a big house ought to think real hard about who would be left to take care of him. I told her that I had built the house alone and buried my wife alone, and I expected I could manage the rest of it alone too if it came down to that. And then I asked the both of them to be out by the end of the month. It was the most I had said in one stretch in 2 years.
The legal end of the thing was slow, the way these matters always seem to be. Francis filed a civil action to recover whatever could still be traced, the balance on the equity line and the distributions that had landed in accounts under Garrett's and Sloane's own names. The bank, once it understood that a durable power of attorney had been used to slap a lien on the home of a man who never saw one dime of the benefit, turned out to be a good deal more cooperative than I had ever expected. There's a whole department for this kind of thing now. There wasn't 20 years ago. That is one thing, at least, that has gotten better out there in the world. The IRA money was the hard part. A good piece of it had simply been spent. Gone. Into the studio, into the truck, into a whole life. Francis was honest with me from that very first meeting. Some of it I was never going to see again, and chasing down the last of it would cost me more in her hours than the money itself was even worth. A man has to know which of his losses to take. I took that one and didn't look back at it. She also walked me gently on over to the prosecutor's office and made the referral, and then she let me be the one to decide how far the whole thing went. I'll tell you what I decided in a minute. First, I want to tell you about the house, because the house is the part that matters.
The realtor never did come back. There was nothing left for anybody to sell out from under me, and I had no plans to sell it off myself. But I did do one thing. With Francis's help, I put the house into a trust, an irrevocable one, with my name to live in it for as long as I'm able, and after me, the whole of it to pass to the Ross County Park District, so that the 11 acres around it stay exactly as they are, and never get turned into one more strip plaza out by the bypass. Marion and I used to walk those acres in the evenings. There is a creek at the back of the property with a flat stone she liked to sit herself down on. I had a stonemason set a small marker out beside it, with her name and the dates, and one line she used to say to her fourth graders whenever they got something wrong. The line was, "We try again." That is the whole of the inscription on it. We try again. Garrett cannot touch any of it now. Not the house, not the land, not the stone. A trust, when you get right down to it, is really just a fence that the law has agreed to honor. And I had spent my entire working life building fences the right way, so I went and built one more. The money he took, I mostly lost, but the thing he was actually after, the house, the land, the having of it, that I made good and certain he would never get his hands on.
What I decided about the prosecutor was this. I let it go forward, not to ruin him. I am too old now to get any enjoyment at all out of ruining anybody, and he is still, underneath the whole of it, the boy who once made his mother a card with the letters running downhill. But Francis had said a thing that stayed with me. She said the only thing that reliably stops a man who has done this once is a record that says in writing that he did it. Without one, he just moves along to the next account, the next old person, the next clipboard and the next hospital room. She had watched it happen more than once. So I sat and I thought about that next old person, and then I signed the statement. It never did go to trial. They rarely do, she told me. There was a plea. He owes restitution that he will most likely be paying back in small pieces for the rest of his working life, which is a sentence of its own particular kind. And there is a felony on his record now, where there used to be just a boy with downhill letters. Sloane left him before the plea was even entered. The studio out by the bypass closed its doors. I heard about it the way you hear about everything in a small town, at the hardware store, sideways, from a man who had no earthly idea it was any business of mine. I felt no satisfaction in any of it, and I want to be honest about that too. I just felt the floor finally stop dropping.
It is quiet in the house now. The kind of quiet I had to learn the difference on. The quiet of a machine seized up dead against the quiet of a machine that is simply switched off because the day's work is all done. Marion's chair is back over by the window. I sit in mine, across from it most evenings, which a younger man would look at and think was sad, and which I have come, over time, to think of as just company.
A woman from the church, Della, started coming by on Sundays after she heard. She had lost her own husband the same year I lost Marion. We don't make a thing out of it. We just have coffee, and she tells me about her grandchildren, and I tell her which of the park trails are too muddy to walk that particular week. It is not nothing. At 71 years old, it turns out to be a great deal closer to everything than I would ever have guessed. I went back out to the creek last week. The marker is holding fine. The creek doesn't know that anything happened at all. Water just keeps right on doing what water does, going wherever the ground will let it, always finding out the low places. And I sat down on Marion's flat stone a while, and I let it. I am all right. It surprises me a little to hear myself say it, but I am.
People ask me, the few that I've told, how it was I didn't see it coming. A man that careful, 34 years of reading machines for a living, and his own son empties him right out from under his nose. Here is the only answer I have got for them. You can read a machine because a machine has got no reason on this earth to lie to you. It jams or it runs. It tells you the plain truth in the one language it has. But a person you love is not a machine. You don't sit and watch the people you love for failure. You would be ashamed of yourself to do it. The trust is the entire point of the thing, and the trust is the exact door that they walk in through. So I will say it plain, the way I'd have wanted somebody to say it to me. A house is not the walls you build. It is the name the law still believes. Put your name where the law can see it, while you are still the one holding the pen. Don't you wait until you've already become a chair in your own kitchen. If this story sat with you, leave me a comment and tell me where you are watching from. And tell me, if you want to, about the clipboard somewhere in your life or in the life of somebody you love that nobody has ever read all the way through. Hit that like button if you stayed with me to the end. Subscribe to the channel, and I will keep on telling them. Thank you for giving an old millwright your evening.